All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another podcast by SirLinksalot.co. We are here today with Mr. Kasra Dash. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Awesome. And how are you doing today, Nick?
Can't complain. It's a cold one here in Texas, but I think we're gonna make it. Pumped about having Kasra on. We got to meet briefly out in Chiang Mai. So yeah, this should be a fun one.
Yeah, so like Nick was
Uh,
saying, we met Kasra out at Chiang Mai SEO. He was just some random guy we met who happened to be speaking as well, and also happened to have a pretty cool, I think it was a Genghis Khan introduction to his talk. Is that right? Was it
Yeah.
Genghis Khan?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely kind of won me over there. But yeah, other than that, he's involved with Searcharoo. I was looking at Searcharoo. I'm not even sure your position over there, but Kasra does like a million other things, kind of like our last guest. He's also involved in managing 600 plus lead gen rank and rent sites with James Dooley. What else are you involved in, Kasra?
So Searcharoo that does the link building,
Hmm.
Autoblogging that does the SaaS,
Hmm.
so like the AI content writing. Then we have got Backlink Doctor, which does the basically link removal. So if you've got toxic links and stuff. And then the ranking rents as well, like what you mentioned. There's definitely something I've missed off, but we've just got an army behind us, meeting
Yeah.
myself and James. So we just take on new ventures and stuff. And then outside of the SEO realm as well, I've invested in an accountancy firm, and also a manufacturing company as well. I think me and Nick were speaking about that in Thailand as well, about doing manufacturing. But
Cool.
yeah, a lot of stuff.
That's pretty cool. It's
Very
always good
cool.
to see people doing something other than just SEO and digital
Yeah.
assets, right? Doing
Yeah.
something a little bit different. That's always cool as well.
Yeah, I
Um,
saw somebody call you Mr. Everywhere in an interview recently, and yeah, I would say that's very accurate, right? I mean, you've been speaking all over last year. Got your fingers in kind of everything, so yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, do you know what? One thing I will say is the original person that was called Mr. Everywhere is Julian Goldie. But
yeah,
then
Yeah,
everyone,
makes sense.
he was like more so on like the digital side of stuff. I think he was more so digital. I was more so at the events, and now it's kind of like I'm doing the YouTube side of stuff. I'm doing Twitter, doing the events. So yeah, I've kind of hijacked that name off of him.
yeah. It
Right
seems
on.
like you and James both have been really kind of doing the personal branding push pretty hard. I guess we could talk about that for a second. How's the personal branding
Yeah.
push? Yeah, just how's that going for you? You're seeing like benefits from it, or what are your kind of goals with that?
Yeah, so one thing that both me and James get is like a lot of business opportunities, whether it's somebody that's created a SaaS product to do with SEO, or whether it's an agency, or whether it's just a brick and mortar style company. Now they'll essentially come to us and they'll say like, oh, we'll give you 25% for 200 grand, 500 grand, whatever. So we both decided it'd be very important to be able to understand what kind of personality we are. So that's why we had a massive push on the podcasts. Like, for example, if I'm getting into business with Nick or yourself, Chris, I'd want to know like what kind of person you are. Like, are you that type of guy that's going to be up at 2 a.m. fixing spreadsheets because this all went wrong, or are you going to be the type of guy that's just going to crumble under pressure?
Well,
So
which one am I? Which one do you think I am?
I feel like you're going to be the type of guy that's going to be up at 2 a.m.
And what about Nick?
Fixing.
Do Nick now.
Do me now.
Nick would probably put the kids to bed and then do the spreadsheets. Am I right? So
Yeah, well, he goes to bed by himself now, but I'd lean into that. That's fair. Because
yeah.
from like a philosophical perspective, yes, I am going to prioritize my kiddo if I'm
Yeah,
being
of
real.
course. I get it. And I've seen that side of James as well, where he is prioritizing the kids, which is good to see. Like, you don't want to just abandon your kids because you're growing out of business, right? So
Well,
yeah, it's
if I can't feed them, then it's also an issue, right? So there is a balance
yeah,
there, but yeah, fair.
yeah, definitely a balance. But yeah, it's that's the main reason why we done the push. And then obviously we had like there's a lot of people in the SEO scene that like us as people, and I think that resonates when we do go on these podcasts. So for example, if I jump on this podcast today, there might be somebody that has their own podcast. They'll be like, "Oh, I don't mind having Kaz on. He seems like quite a cool guy." And then there's the other side of the coin where there's people that absolutely hate me as well, but that's fine.
So what do
It's
you?
interesting because in your interview with Goldie, I think y'all talked about that quite a bit. Opportunities that arise by saying yes to your interaction with other people versus being, polar opposites and saying, I'm not going to interact with that person, they're a competitor, yada yada, right? But I've always kind of been, part of that school of thought. Let's see who this person is. Let's kind of navigate that and see what outcomes we can put together.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I bet there's a lot of people watching this right now, and they're like, SirLinksalot and Searcharoo, what's going
Right.
on here, right?
Yeah,
But
and
it's
we
like
just had
there's
James on. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But the thing is, there's so much money in SEO. So
I think
that's
actually like
totally fine.
I think our last like 4 podcast guests have
Yeah.
been direct competitors, at least at some point.
There's
Like we
Jackie
had Jackie,
Cho.
yeah, we had
Yeah.
Julian Goldie, we got Kasra now, we had James. I'm not sure who was before that, but a lot of link
All of
builders
those,
out
yeah.
here.
Link
Yeah.
builders, yeah.
Maybe the moral of the story is that link builders are pretty cool dudes. What do you guys think about
Yeah.
that?
That might be the
Maybe.
case. It might be the case.
I would
So
say, now it feels that way, but when I first started in SEO, I remember it being a bit more cutthroat. So maybe it's like once you reach a certain level and have a certain kind of momentum, people will start to respect or,
Do you know what?
any number of those
I
things.
I said this on a podcast recently with Jason Mills, and I said, if you guys had met 2 3 years ago, Kaz, you probably wouldn't have liked me because I would have been a little bit more cutthroat. I probably might not have approached you guys in Thailand and stuff like that. But now I'm like, there's just so much money to be made. Like, I don't,
Right.
I'd probably be doing us a disservice by not speaking to you.
yeah,
So
yeah, we've
yeah,
actually
We're
there's
happy to have
been
you on.
yeah, there's been some
thanks,
situations
man.
in the past where we've had a little bit of, I won't say beef, but there's been some turbulence with some competitors. But yeah, now in the past year or two or whatever, we've been, more active online or just meeting at conferences and stuff. It seems like all that's pretty much gone. I don't really, I mean, maybe I'm wrong on this, Nick, but do you feel like there's anyone like in the link building industry or the SEO industry in general that just
The
seems
only
real like cutthroat like that anymore? Because I
the
don't really feel it at
the
all.
o-
I feel like everyone's just kind of doing their own thing now.
the only ones that I can think of that are still maybe cutthroat against us particularly are ones we don't know. Whoever the fuck is spamming our site with
I've got an idea who that
you
might
know
be. We'll talk about that later.
well, so that person maybe, but outside of that, it's like, face to face or anything like that. I haven't had an issue in years with anybody, and I haven't seen that side of things. But like I said, I mean, 10 years ago when I was starting out, and then for that first like 2 3 years, I would say things, could get topsy turvy. Yeah. But that's when
Mm,
like Black Hat World was bigger and all that kind of stuff too. I
Yeah, so I
think
wonder,
yeah.
do
the
you think
face
it's
of
the
SEO got more
industry?
professional.
Yeah, so do you think it's the
Um,
industry that's changed, or that's actually a good point.
I
Maybe the industry's just gotten kind of more professional and
Yeah.
we've kind of cleaned up our acts a little bit. I don't know.
I
I
What do you
I
think?
think
feel like, yeah.
I think the
Go ahead,
industry's
Kasra.
probably got a little bit more mature.
Hmm.
Because like if you think of like myself, I got into SEO when I was like 18, right? 18-year-old Kaz probably isn't as mature as 26-year-old Kaz now.
Yeah, for sure.
Charles, for example, he's another one. He's been what? How long has he been doing it? Since he was like 14?
Hmm.
Before me, yeah,
Yeah. So
at
like,
least like 6 years before me, I think. Yeah.
Charles has
typical.
calmed down quite a bit too.
Exactly. Like I'm looking at like obviously I didn't know him when he was like 14 and stuff, but just generally speaking, a 14-year-old isn't going to be
Dude,
mature at all, right? So
True.
shit.
you've got guys like that, but now he's calmed down massively. Like even from like 2 3 years ago, he's calmed down massively.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm the same. I still like a little bit of beef now and again. Don't get me wrong, but yeah,
Man, but
definitely
it's
calmed
like,
down.
I remember going into like all the biggest groups, right? And like the main threads on the Facebook groups that got a lot of attraction would been the ones that were like people just yelling at each other about random shit. And then that would go big and everybody would chime in like so and so's a fucking idiot or so and so is right. And I haven't seen that kind of stuff in a long time. Maybe I'm just in different groups, but I don't know. It seems to have calmed down. I think our industry is shifting a little bit, or maybe it's that,
Speaking
we
of
were
calming
already old
down,
men.
Nick, speaking of
Huh?
calming down, before the podcast started, we were talking about a young Kasra. He was 1 year younger during the Chiang Mai SEO conference, and we
Oh
were talking about
yeah,
him upending savagely a
bogey and
bottle
down.
of vodka. I think it was on the last day of the conference. Um, is that true,
I
Kasra?
personally don't recall this, Chris,
Of course you
but
don't
we
recall.
can.
And if your mom is watching, then he wasn't doing any of that
Yeah,
either.
I was inside the
Yeah,
hotel
working.
just working away. No, yeah, so I've completely stopped drinking since November the 10th. I feel like this is like a turned into like a alcoholics meeting,
That's an
right?
Intervention.
intervention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've stopped doing it, and there's a couple reasons why. I remember making a tweet like 4 years ago before I even had like any followers and stuff like that, and it was like, even if you were to go out once a month and get shit faced, right, or just not even shit faced, but like pretty drunk.
Hmm.
I don't know about you guys, but I have like a knock-on effect for about like 4 or 5 days, like maybe even sometimes a week, where I'm like, oh, I feel awful, right?
Yeah. Can definitely kind
So
of
you
pushes the reset button a little bit, right? Gets you way off track.
Exactly. So then you do that 12 times a year, and that's not even that many times you go out, right? That's
True.
very low for a lot of people. That's 3 months you've essentially wasted throughout the year. And then if you then multiply that by, for example, whatever your hourly rate is or how much you would earn in a day, you start to lose a lot of money. Now again, like that being said, I'm not going to be boring. Like I'm still gonna go out and have fun. I just think that there's better ways to have fun. Like I don't know about you guys, but I used to always drink because I thought that I needed that to be more social.
Hmm.
And now I'm like, that's just a stupid way of thinking about it. So I'm like, I don't need alcohol. I'm like, when I was chatting to you guys, I don't even know if you guys noticed, I was drinking water. Like I was still
Mm,
social. I was still talking to you guys.
yeah,
I don't
and we
slur
were
my
at a
words,
bar.
and we were at a bar. There was a lot of temptations. Didn't drink at all. And then there was another video that I saw recently, and it was like, well, why would I lower my attention span and like the amount of knowledge that I can take in from a conversation by drinking? I want to walk away from most conversations, especially if I'm speaking to guys like yourself, where I'm like, Nick said this or Chris said that. I'm going to test that out. Or might be, for example, a guy like Corey, and he might be talking about more so SEO and content. I'm like, if I speak to Corey, it's like the last thing I would want is to be drunk, because he's like algorithm man.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's the main reason why I've stopped.
For sure. Yeah, I feel like you're actually getting on the the healthy train quite a bit earlier than me and Nick did. I think I probably
For
stopped
sure.
kind of drinking uh I think around like 30, 31 was when I really stopped. I mean, I still drink every now and then, but not like I did before, right?
Yeah.
Dude,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah,
Chris and
Nick,
I were every day through our
oh, every
20s
day. I don't know about
drinkers.
Oh
that.
God.
Well, I mean, I would say comparative to what Kasra was talking about, like, I mean, for me, it was almost every day. I was working
Well,
in the
you,
bar
yeah, you
scene,
worked at a bar.
and that was through college, all the way up through my 20s until I was around 28, 29. And, I'll still drink every now and again, but definitely the older we get, the more I feel it. And it's not so much my body that'll take a toll, but it's my mindset that will take a toll. Like
Yeah,
you're saying, um, I'll start noticing lethargy, and then just kind of it's a bad attitude, quite honestly.
Yeah,
Like it's very subtle, so I think a lot of people don't notice that it's happening, but it's definitely a negative factor,
for
especially if you're
sure.
working on broader strokes, right?
For sure.
mm,
Yeah, I felt like I really stopped drinking like when we started our agency and pretty much was like completely sober for like years. Like especially like
Well,
the first like two
that
years
first
we
year we had a bar in the office.
that is true. That's true. Okay, wait, so maybe I
Chris
wasn't
was
completely
Chris
sober.
was a Scotch guy, and we would. I
When
don't know
was
if
it
we're
then?
allowed
I
to
guess
say this from accounting, but we had a Scotch bar at the office
Well, hey,
for
we
the
use it on
office.
YouTube, right? So, okay,
Yeah.
business
Yeah,
expense.
no, it works. I mean, it is. It is what it is.
But yeah, maybe it was the year after that first year. But anyway, I feel like I just like straight up like didn't drink at all for a while. And was just like a complete shut in, not shut in, but shut in. And
Yeah,
yeah, just working on the company and staying busy like that. And I felt like alcohol just like took me way off.
for
But
sure.
yeah, it's good that you're kind of Kasra, that you're kind of doing this quite a bit earlier, but you're also involved in business quite a bit earlier than in your life than we were as well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like what else do you do to kind of like stay sane, like and healthy, like working behind the computer all day? Because I feel like you really have to start to kind of take this stuff a lot more seriously when you're like on the computer as much as we are.
Yeah, so I try to structure my week. Like every day I'll go to the gym every single day. I think last year, out of the entire year, I might have missed like 3 weeks worth of going to the gym, and that was because I was traveling or whatever else. It was like 2 or 3 weeks. It wasn't much. Like to the point where there's like personal trainers at the gym, and they're like looking at me thinking, is this guy okay? Like he's in the gym more than us, and this is our full-time job type thing. Um, so yeah, go to the gym every single day. That helps me with burnout because again, I don't know about you guys, but staring at a spreadsheet or doing just one task over and over again, whether it's calls, whether it's fixing pricing on the website or whatever the case may be, it can get so mundane. So I try to break it up. I also one thing that I've also started doing is a lot of people go to the gym early morning, and they do it to like wake themselves up. I actually go straight into the office or I'll work from home or whatever, and then I'll go to the gym at like 1 p.m., 2 p.m., and
Mhm.
it just breaks up the day pretty well.
Yeah, I do that
So
as
I'll
well.
do, yeah, you get that extra burst of energy for like the second half of the day.
And you like
So then,
de-stress from the first half as well, right? So like
exactly,
all the crap you dealt with earlier when you're just like locked in or whatever, you get to like clear that, and then you're kind of like
yeah.
fresh again.
Especially if you're doing like all the boring tasks in the morning. It's just you
Yeah.
freshen up, you're ready to go for round two then. And then I'll also one other thing as well is I'll only have one meal a day. Because like
Damn.
for example, I don't know about you guys, but you eat and you just feel so lethargic, you feel tired. So I'll do that. But then that one meal that I will have at like 9 p.m. will be like a pretty big meal. So it'll be like I'll literally feel sick after eating it. So it's
Yeah.
like, right, that's good. For this, it's like 2,500 calories or whatever. So I'm getting the actual intake that I need
Nice.
for the day. And then yeah, so the first quarter, the first third of the day, I'll work on one thing, whether it's Searcharoo or whether it's Autoblogging or whatever. The second third of the day, I'll be focusing on something else. So it might be to do with like the accountancy side of stuff. It might be the rank and rent side of stuff. So I'm trying to mix it up as much as I can. That being said, sometimes I will have a load of things that I need to sort for one business. So that's like one stretch of the entire day type thing. But yeah, I try to focus on as many different things as I can, and try and essentially outsource as much as I can as well. Like the last thing you want to be doing is doing all the work yourself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we're working on these days, outsourcing it all, or not outsourcing, but delegating. There we go. That's the right word.
Yeah.
Um,
Dang, dude. I mean, not because I do intermittent fasting too. I've always kind of done it. I definitely feel much better. I've had physical jobs before. I think on the computer it works just the same way. It does make you lethargic, especially if you're eating like American breakfast or something like that. It doesn't make any sense to me. All these loaded carbs, etc., and it just bogs you down, in my opinion.
Mm.
But to all the way to 8 or 9 p.m. before my first meal. I don't know. I'd like to maybe give that a try. I've done fasting a couple times, but that's a
So
short period. You
a
don't
lot of
feel
people,
uh-huh.
yeah, go on. You don't
Well, I was
feel
gonna say
what?
you don't feel like lethargic having not eaten anything like that.
So no, I have like I'd be lying to you if I said I have five minimum teas. I reckon I have maybe like anywhere between
Okay.
like 8 to 15 teas in a day. Like it's probably like if
Okay, so
somebody was to
caffeine.
like, yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
caffeine throughout the day. But basically, the reason why you do that is when you have caffeine, it reduces your um what is it when you get like hungry? I'm guessing like your
Appetite.
hunger levels. Yeah,
Appetite.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it lowers your appetite. So it feels like you've ate something, even though you've not. So even like it's not like hardcore intermittent fasting. I'm still having tea. But there's
Yeah.
but yeah, I'll just one meal a day. And then in that one meal, I'll try to have a mixture of everything. So like I'll have like a load of rice, for example. I'll have like dairy, and I'll have like meat as well. So you're covering all groups then. But yeah, it works out for really well for me. It might not work out for everyone else.
I've
Like
actually noticed something pretty similar though. Like I feel like my productivity goes like way down after I'm eating. Like
Mhm.
so I try to keep everything like super light, especially in the morning. Like just I probably don't have my first meal until like noon or something. And yeah, it's like super light, like oatmeal type stuff, like a banana. And then yeah, light lunch as well, maybe just like a protein shake before the gym.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always notice my productivity going down as soon as I eat. It's just like I'm tired, I don't want to work, I'm chilling. Um,
Well, one thing that you guys should probably do is there's like a test that you can do. I don't know if it's like a blood test or like maybe you need to piss in something, but it tells you like what
You're
yeah
missing.
the,
Yeah.
not what
Deficiency
you're
test.
missing. It no. So it's actually what makes you tired. So like for example, one of my friends done one. Strawberries makes them tired.
Really?
Yeah, yeah,
Huh.
yeah. Or oranges makes them tired. I think it's to do with like the acid or something. Um,
Interesting.
but yeah, worth doing.
Would you consider yourself sort of a biohacker? I feel like we run into people that have that mentality pretty often in SEO, where they're supplementing or they're doing random.
for serial optimizers.
Eh, Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Am I a bi? So I was really skinny like 3 years ago, right? And I was like, well, I want to get big. I want to have a six pack and I want to have muscles, right? So then I tried to optimize that section of my life. So, like for example, what's the first thing that a personal trainer tells you to do, or what's anyone that you go to the gym tells you to do? It's like, right, okay, you're skinny, you need to eat loads, right? And I'd be eating loads, right? And I'm trying to do my work, and I'm like, can't do this. I'm too tired. I need like 18 hours worth of sleep here. Um, so then I started researching loads, and I was like, right, okay, so some guys are actually able to gain weight by eating one meal a day, which is like completely opposite of what everyone tells you to
Mm.
do. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna try this out. Obviously, this took like 6 months of like research. I was like doing all these different like diets and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, okay, I can't eat bread, for example. I can only have strawberries on a Tuesday or whatever else crazy diets there is. So then I researched this one guy and he's like, yeah, so you need to hit this amount of calories for this amount of body fat percentage if you're trying to increase it, which I was at the time. So I just stuck to that and I'm like, yeah, this works really well for me. But then
Interesting.
again, for other people it might not work. It's all down to like what your body tells you basically.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
like
It's
binge
funny
eating.
right. As a marketer, it starts to hit you, especially as you start falling into these quote, kind of traps, especially when you're jumping into something new, like working out again or supplementation,
Mm.
etc. It's like, everybody's out there trying to shift you towards their gimmick or their idea of how you do things. But especially when I look at like bodybuilder diets or a lot of things that are like very heavily promoted online, to me, it seems like a lot of BS. Like, unless you want to go to the competitive level, like 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight per day, et cetera, is, I mean, it's
Yeah,
not, it's
I
not
don't.
optimal. No.
I don't feel like I'm a biohacker. Maybe some people would say that I am, but it's like I don't go to that level where it's like, okay, I'm 65 kilograms, I need 65 scoops of
Yeah.
creatine or whatever else. It's like, nah, I ain't doing that. It's like I just
Right.
found something that's optimal. Like for example, I'll go to the gym 45 minutes in and out. Like I just try to do everything optimal as much
So
as I
would you say
can.
it's now that you've been doing it for a while, would you say that helps you in work? Like you go in, you get your 45 minutes right there in the middle of the day, it breaks it up. Now you're ready to tackle the
Yeah.
next part, and it's more of like a mind frame kind of situation.
Yeah, so I try to do what I try to do is two breaks throughout the day. So I'll have my gym break and then I'll have my cooking break where I'll cook something myself because I'm quite a picky eater. I like my stuff seasoned. A lot of people don't season their chicken or whatever else. It's like no, I need my own. I've got my own seasoning rack. So yeah, like I
Seasoning
like.
rack.
Yeah.
Fancy.
I,
We need to
do you
go
know
over
what?
there for dinner.
I'm actually quite a good chef, but I'm a lazy chef. I don't like cooking, but when I do cook, it's a decent meal. Um, so yeah, like I try to break it up into two sections. So like I've done my gym session today. I'm gonna have food maybe in like 3 hours time, and then I'll be ready to go for like from 8 p.m. till like maybe 12. And then 12 midnight till 5 p.m. or 5 a.m. Sorry, I'll sleep. I don't get much sleep, like
Oh,
five
damn.
hours.
That's
Yeah,
crazy. I need like a solid like 8. So like
same.
how many hours do you think you're working a day right now?
It depends. I would probably say 12 hours as a minimum.
Hmm.
There's like certain bit like for example, if you want to count like me replying to a WhatsApp to a staff member, some people might not call that work, but like I suppose it is, right? Because it's like some people would do it on Slack. Yeah, it's probably like 12, 14 hours a day. Um,
Gotcha.
and then like the other few hours I'm probably either just doing research or like I don't watch any TV. Like I've literally got my TV unplugged. Don't watch
Okay.
TV, don't watch TV shows,
So you're like
nothing.
monk mode a little bit like I was doing for a while. Okay, so do you like believe in the concept of like dopamine detoxes or basically like starving your brain of like all other dopamine, or you just like don't have time for TV?
So one thing I'll show you is if I open up my Facebook app,
Mm-hmm.
time
Hmm.
limit. So I've got a time limit on all my social
Gotcha.
media apps. 1 hour is what I get, unless the only one caveat to that is if I'm doing like a case study or something on Twitter or on Facebook, I might go over that limit, but that's the only time. So I'm not a consumer on social media, I'm a producer. And that,
Mhm.
do you know what? That pisses a lot of people off because some people will follow me
Kasra's
on
not liking
Twitter.
my stuff.
Exactly. Exactly. People will follow me on Twitter or they'll add me up on Facebook or whatever, or they'll basically realize I'm not following them back or liking their stuff. That's the
Hmm.
reason why. Literally, I don't know anything on Twitter. Like, I don't know what the latest SEO trend on Twitter is. I don't know the latest SEO trend on Facebook. Nothing like that. I'm just on there, I produce and then log off.
Gotcha. I've actually been thinking about that recently because I've been kind of being a little bit more active on social than I have been before. And I had the
Mm.
same exact idea that you just talked about. You're a producer rather than a consumer. But I didn't really think about it in those exact words or whatever. But I did like think about it and I was thinking like, man, I bet like, maybe I should get on Facebook every now and then just like scroll down and like everything because like, I get on, I put my stuff out there or I get what I need to get and then I get off without like interacting with other people's stuff. So I was thinking maybe there'll be some kind of like backlash or something. Or I gotta kind of spread some likes around. I don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, there is an argument to say like the more engaging you are being on those platforms, the more engagement you're gonna get. But I'm
Hmm.
like, I just I would be wasting money if I'm on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. Like I'd be burning money at that point. So
For
I
sure.
just try to be on it as little as I can, and then that's it.
Okay, so yeah, no TV. I'm also a big like no TV person. I haven't owned a TV. Actually, I did own a TV, but I didn't use it. I bought a couch too in my last place in the United States, and I regretted every second of buying that fucking couch because
I remember
I
that.
used it like one time. I would talk to Nick about it like every week how much
He
I
tried to
hated
sell it to me when he left, and I was like, I don't need your fucking couch, man. Like, but he was bummed out about it. Like, that really taxed his brain a little bit.
it. But anyway, okay, so yeah, are you doing this stuff like intentionally, or is it just because you don't have time? Like, are you just like optimizing your time, or are you like uh, trying to like cut out like dopamine out of your life? Like, so like for example, You'd cut out like a bunch of like good tasting food, cut out like video games, like cell phone use, anything that gives you that like easy like dopamine. You cut that out, and it makes you like more productive, or you just like saving time.
So I don't know about you guys, right? So the movie and the TV side of stuff, like I don't know about you guys, but I just get bored very quickly. Like if I'm watching a movie, I'll probably fall asleep. I feel like an old man saying that, right? Nick's probably like, yeah, that's been my life for the past 10 years.
No.
But
Well, Nick
I'm
loves
like,
TV.
oh,
I'll
right,
watch a
okay.
movie at night. Yeah. I'll watch
Right,
some
yeah.
TV at night for sure.
That's yeah, but like I just can't unless it's something where I'm like, oh yeah, I don't know. Elon Musk has released a movie, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll watch that because I have some interest in it. But if I'm being honest with you guys, the last time I went to the cinema or to the theater, you guys call it, I think, right?
Mm.
Um, I went to watch the latest James Bond, right? And when I was growing up, I had an interest in James Bond. I fell asleep. At the like within 3 minutes of it actually starting, and I woke up at the ending credits. I couldn't tell you what happened. I don't know who the villain is. Don't know.
So
And
any time
it's
off for you is like you need a decompression time from the workload you've been doing, et cetera. It's like, all right, this is free time. I'm going to a movie, but really your brain says I'm sleeping,
yeah,
chilling
it's
out.
like whenever I have a dopamine kick, like if I'm on TikTok or whatever, my brain just shuts down. I feel tired, and it's like shit. I need
So
something to engage my brain with, whether it's working on a spreadsheet or
so
whatever.
what's your philosophy on how you like structure your day then? Like what is it that like motivates you to structure your day out focused on work? How can you like, maybe some people are watching that have had a hard time struggling to get away from these, day-to-day addictions. How do you go about figuring this out and deciding that's what you're going to do? And when did you start doing it? Because you're 26, right? 27?
26.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the biggest thing is like getting into routine. So I don't know, what is the rule for routine? Let me just search up. I think it's
I don't
like,
know, but
is
I'm a
it,
huge routine guy. Like, my routine is like everything. If I get off my routine, my productivity just goes like fucking nosedive.
is it 45 days for a routine?
I think it was
Or,
30. I could be wrong though, but
um,
something like that.
there's like, I think if you just search like routine, quote or something, it's like, it's 9 days to create a habit, and then it's 25 or 45 days to create a routine. So
Mm.
whenever I do something, I aim for that 45 days. So like for example, I don't know if you guys have seen, but I've been uploading to my YouTube channel every single day, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I think I'm on like day 38 or something like that. And I know as soon as I hit the 45th day, and I'm like, if I miss a day now, it's just going to feel weird. So that's how I get into like routine, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's breaking a bad habit. Like at one point, I deleted all social media apps off my phone, but then I was like, well,
I wish I could.
actually, I can't do that
Yeah.
because, for example, I might need to load up Facebook ads library, or I might need to publish a video. I don't know. I've just done a podcast with Carol Roof. I had to publish that, right? If I didn't have the app, it would be more of a nuisance downloading the app, doing the actual status, and then deleting it again. So
Right.
yeah, I'm all about routine, like making certain that you get in a good routine. And trying to stick to the routine, because that's what I found very difficult last year. Because obviously I was in Vegas, I was in
Right.
Estonia, Chiang Mai. Even when I was out like in Estonia, I still went to the gym. When I was in Vegas, I probably didn't go to the gym as much as I should have, but I probably missed like 2 or 3
Still do.
days. Yeah, so like there's and also like for example, it doesn't always necessarily need to be the gym as well. Like you could go for like a 45-minute walk. At least you being active, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, just sticking to a routine and finding like what works for you as well. Like for example, not everyone can go to the gym at 6 a.m. Maybe all right, change it up, go 8 p.m. Just finding what works for your body, because I know that there's probably going to be a lot of people watching this and like, Kasra's a fucking machine, and it's like, well, it just works for my body.
Do you also like schedule downtime into your day? Like, do you have a set of time where you're not supposed to do anything that's work?
If I'm at the gym, I will not look at my phone. I feel like that, like mid-set, if you've just finished a set, you've racked up and you're looking at your phone, you're like, oh, Chris has messaged me about these links or whatever. It's just going to throw you off for the next set. So I do not look at my phone.
Hmm.
Same goes when I'm cooking. Don't look at my phone then. And then the third time, and this is going to be really, or actually no, sorry. The third time, like if I'm in the shower or something, clearly just can't. That's downtime for me. I'm thinking, right?
Hmm.
And the fourth, this is going to be really weird, is when I'm having a haircut, because that's like I'm in Zen mode. Then it's like my
Dude,
phone's away.
I love
Can't.
haircuts too. Like a
Yeah.
nice haircut at
man,
a good barber. I love it. I need one.
that's
I need
yeah.
to get one like tomorrow or something.
It's funny you bring up the zen of the barber kind of feeling, because this last time, though I liked the way they cut it, I felt like they rushed through it. And like, what for me makes a haircut special is that you're kind of like, it's especially as a male, like it's the only time that you're getting pampered. And so
Really.
like I want it to feel like this full experience. I don't care if you're like not actually cutting hair, just like go like this and make it feel like I'm getting this full thing. And I want it to last at least 45 minutes, dollar per minute, roughly, like here in the States anyway. But yeah, that's kind of funny because I don't think a lot of people look at haircuts with that kind of,
Yeah,
mindset
no,
about it.
do you know what? I've had one bad experience from a haircut in the past like 3 years, and you guys are both going to laugh at this. So I'm sat at this haircut, as you can imagine, feeling exactly like how you just mentioned, feeling pampered, feeling like a
Mhm.
princess, right? And then I hear the door open, and guess who it is? James. He's just walked
Julie, yeah,
in.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. And he's like chatting to me
Damn
about SEO, and I'm like,
it.
damn it, stop, get
No.
away.
He's
Oh, that's
invaded your
funny.
he
But
invaded your safe space.
exactly that. So yeah, that's the one bad experience I've had in a haircut.
Okay, so yeah, it sounds
But
like
see, so
your days are like pretty busy then. So do you not actually have anything that you do like okay, so you have like cooking, you have the gym. These are all like things that are basically other things you kind of need to do. You have to eat. You need to get some physical exercise, run a computer all day. You need to get your hair cut. But yeah, like, do you have anything that you do in your regular routine, anything you do every day, or maybe not every day, but every other day even, that is like, that is just like you relaxing time? Like, so for example, TV or video game or reading a book or something. I don't know.
If
I'm asking you because I'm having a ton of trouble with this. I keep trying to find some hobby that I can use to like unwind that also won't like lead to creating like bad habits. So for example, like video games are extremely bad for me because I get addicted to them and I just
yeah.
think about them all the time. Or like TV, I just feel like it makes me like real like lazy or something. I just kind of turn my brain off. I don't know. It feels like not good. So yeah, what is there anything that you do?
So what one other thing as well that I've forgotten in the daily routine is I'll speak to mom and dad every day because they like live like 3 hours away. So like I'll speak anywhere between like 10 minutes to like 45 or
wow.
an hour. Yeah, yeah, every single day.
Every day. Whoa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just catching up on them.
Well, it's also some human connection too. I mean, it's
Yeah.
different from like work connection, right? It's like yeah, human connection in a different kind of way versus like getting shit done, I guess.
Chris,
Yeah,
do you think
exactly
you could
that.
talk to your parents for 45 minutes every day? Because I'm like, they wouldn't talk to me. I'm like, they'd be like, nah, we're ignoring his phone call today. He's too, wound
No,
up.
I don't think I could do every day. I could do once a week to each parent, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Whatever works. I mean, like it's not 45 minutes every single day. Sometimes it's like 10 minutes just catching up, like how
Yeah.
their days been and stuff.
It could be good though. Parents getting
And then
older and stuff, so it's good use of time, I think.
to answer your question, I'm very similar to you, and it's probably not the answer that you want to hear. Like, I can't like, for example, if I don't know, start archery as a hobby, I'm going to be watching archery videos on how I can get a bullseye every time, right?
Got to optimize
So
your archery skills.
exactly, yeah, exactly that. So I don't have any. I guess you could say the gym's a hobby. I don't know.
Yeah, it is.
But what I do for downtime or for me time is I will occasionally go to like my gym isn't just the gym, it's got like a spa facility and stuff. So like it's got a swimming pool, jacuzzi, steam room. So I'll do that regularly. And I feel
Yeah.
like that gives me pretty good downtime. So like I might do like 45 minutes in the gym and then maybe like 20 minutes in like the spa facility, 15 minutes. I try not to
Oh.
go over an hour and like 20 minutes.
I guess I could kind of start doing that out here more, especially in Thailand. You know, they have a bunch of like,
Yeah.
spa, whatever, onsen or just massages and stuff.
Yeah.
Get pampered a little bit more. That could be good. That could be
Yeah.
my new hobby will be getting pampered.
I
One
like the
thing I'll
sauna
say.
every day.
Oh, do you do the sauna every day? Yeah.
After the
Yeah.
gym, I'll finish on the sauna. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. I like it because my phone's not in front of me and it gives me time for new ideas, which can sometimes
Mhm.
be a blessing and also a curse.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, you sound like you're just like overstimulated all day, right? Like you always have like something that you're doing. So then you really need that like period where you're really not doing anything with your mind. So you can let your mind just like kind of start going and kind of work through stuff, right? Just kind of
Yeah.
randomly. Yeah, yeah, it's something that I've been actually trying to remember that I need to like schedule some downtime where I literally just like sit in a chair and just like sit there and like not meditating, like not doing anything and just like let my mind just kind of like go for a little bit, right?
It's
But I haven't
it's
stuck to
funny
it.
you'll bring that up because the other day, for the first time in a long time, I had just laid down on the couch after putting my kid to sleep and stared at like just some art that I had on the wall, which I used to do fairly often. And my mind just started immediately running. Like as soon as I gave it that outlet, and it was like, man, it's like my subconscious is recalling that this is something that I've neglected for quite some time. And I've been feeling the stress, but I have not been acknowledging it. And that downtime, and that's why, like, Chris, when I got back from Thailand, like I was waking up at 3 or 4 a.m. every morning, having my coffee by myself, sitting down, no phone, no nothing, but staring off and realizing that, you're actively, producing something within your brain, even if it seems like you're doing, quote, nothing.
Yeah, for
And I
sure.
think some of that's pretty important.
There's actually been
Yeah.
like scientific studies done on this. It's like, you get in the
Mhm.
shower, you start taking your shower, you have these shower thoughts, right? There's even a
Yeah,
subreddit called Shower Thoughts. And it's not like just you, it's literally everybody. It's because
everyone. Yeah,
we've got phones in front of our faces all day. We're always doing something. We've got music on, we're talking to someone, we're checking our phone, we're on the computer. Like we're literally doing, or we're distracted all day, and your brain
all
doesn't
day.
have any time to just kind of like process what it needs to process. Like it needs some time to basically like reboot or just kind of like tie up all the
Yeah,
loose ends and stuff, which is why you have those shower thoughts. And I've heard that another really good way to do this is actually going for a walk. Like go for a
yeah.
walk, no music, no phone, no nothing, just go for a walk. And for some reason, the process of walking really triggers this like hardcore as well. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll be
Yeah.
that's kind of like an old man hobby, but I'll start going on walks, right? A nice walk around the neighborhood in the evening could be a thing.
I, I do it every day. I walk my dog Carl every day. But yeah, I'll start to notice, especially what I'm noticing about all three of us is I think, it's probably a little different from each of us, but we probably are all a bit OCD. And when we get our mindsets hooked on something, then it's hard to want to exit that position or want to give our brain the time to say, I need to ignore this for a little bit so that I can process what I'm doing. For me, I'll come to find that stress will hit pretty hard at some point, and then I'm like, you have not been decompressing well enough. But I know, especially like getting started in business, um, there was nothing else that mattered. It was just focus on this because if it doesn't work, then I've got to go back to some bullshit 9 to 5 where I'm driving. Oh God, I don't want to think about it. But yeah,
Kasra, did you
Yeah,
get
it's
started when you were 18, by the way? Did you get started in SEO when you were 18?
18, 19, honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Actually, it might have been. So I built like my first website when I was like 17. And then I want to say I started doing SEO when I was like, I think I'd done SEO for that website as an 18-year-old, but it would have been like a page title or something. When I seriously done SEO for an e-commerce website, I want to say it was like 20. So yeah, 6 years now, which
Quite young,
Right
though.
on.
it doesn't feel like 6 years at all.
Yeah.
So yeah.
When I was 20, I was doing absolutely nothing productive, like nothing, like absolutely nothing.
Well, we
that's
were in
crazy.
college, but I don't think
That's
either of
not
us was very
productive.
serious about college. Yeah. Yeah. Look at my degree. I'm like, that helped me get none of this, basically, you know?
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Um,
Self-study.
I've got a degree. I just don't know what it's in. I don't know.
Wait, what do you mean? What do you
Like
mean by that?
I don't know, like you know how you guys have like a major in whatever. Like I've got a
Yeah.
bachelor's degree. I don't know what it's
Uh-huh.
in. I think it's like interactive media or interactive media design.
Really?
I don't
Wait,
know.
so
Yeah.
you went to uni and you graduated, but you're not sure what your degree is in?
Yeah. Well, like
That's amazing.
so in Scotland, you can go primary school, which is
Hmm.
like from 4 years old to like 11, I want to say. Then you've got high school, which is like 11 till 17. But you can leave 2 years before and go to college. If you go to college, you don't need to do the additional 2 years, which is what I done. And then you've got college, so you've got NQ and HNC, which is like year one and year two. And you can do like a third year at college, but I was like, nah, I'll do 2 years at college. And then if you do those, so I've actually been optimizing my life since like then, I guess, right? Because I found the most optimal way to get a degree, right? So
Yeah.
I started university when I was 17 and I graduated when I was 19. But if you done 4 years at high school, it meant that you can do 2 years at college, you can skip the third year of college, skip the first year of university, go straight to year two at university, do year two and year three, and get what's called like I think it's called like a bachelor's degree. So I've got a
Hmm.
bachelor's degree in something. I don't know the exact whatever it is, but by the time like the actual graduation and stuff like that came along, I already had like a web design job down in England. So I was like, I'm not that bothered about going to my graduation and stuff.
Gotcha.
Is that kind of what you thought you would be doing, or did you have a different idea of what you'd be going after career-wise?
If I'm being honest with you, Nick, I thought that the interview that I was going for was for a graphic design job. So I
Okay.
went in and I was like, yeah, I've got tons of experience in Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator, and the woman was looking at me like, that's really good, but this is a web design job, and it's like, yeah, I've coded websites before, of course I have. Who hasn't, right? Um, And then she says, "Well, it's for WordPress." I was like, "Yeah, I know what WordPress is." I somehow I got the job, and
Fake it
then
till you make it, right?
yeah, and then
Baked
I
that
went
granny
I
out.
went I went home. I went home from that interview, and as anyone would do, searched on YouTube, what is WordPress?
Yeah.
It turns out it's a CMS. It's like one of the biggest CMSs in the world. So that's how I got into or that's how I got into my first job as a web developer. I was only a web developer back then, and then it kind of stemmed on from there. I started rebuilding all of these websites in WordPress. I think the go-to page builder at the time was WP Bakery. You guys have probably heard of that.
Yeah.
Loads of hacks on that. It's like gets hacked every week. Um, so then I then went into a SEO agency. I'm still doing web design. And like I wanted to set up a web design agency, and obviously they were doing the SEO, and I was like, oh, this is quite cool. They can manipulate things to go to the top of Google. Um, how'd you do that? And obviously back then it was like keyword density and links. So just calculate what your competitor's keyword density is and get more links. Which is kind of similar to what it is now, right? It's more
Mm.
topical
Yeah.
authority and links. So then I really got into the SEO side of stuff, like the link building, figured out what that's like. This was like 5 years ago now. So yeah, I got really hands-on with the links, like like what kind of links you need, like foundational links, citations, PBNs, whatever else. PBNs was massive 5 years ago. They still are, to be fair. So learn all the link side of stuff, and then content is just like my weak point. Like, I don't know about you guys, but
No one likes content.
My grammar is horrible, absolutely horrible. But that's the beauty of being able to delegate tasks, right? So
Right.
at the time, I was like delegating like content tasks and stuff like that. So that's how I got into SEO. And then the SEO agency at the time, they were hiring like apprentices. I don't know if that's a thing in America, but
Like an internship.
yeah, exactly that. So they were hiring interns / apprentices, and it got to the point where the apprentices were asking me about SEO related questions, like, "Oh, how do you use Screaming Frog, or what do you do when you have a 404, or and just stuff like that." So it kind of essentially grew arms and legs. And then I very quickly realized that I'd hit like a glass ceiling, where I was like, well, I know everything to do with links. I know everything to do with foundational links, content, website structure, Screaming Frog. I've kind of burnt this out. Like, what can I do next? And then I met James at a mastermind, James Dooley. And then yeah, it's been a nice little trip with him since. Like, we've partnered up on a lot of stuff. I've helped him where he has his weaknesses. He's helped me where I've got my weaknesses. I'll tell you now, I had a lot more weaknesses than he did. He'll say that he doesn't understand technical. I was very technical back then, and I still am a little bit. He obviously had the team. I was really bad at managing teams and stuff like that. So he was just like, SOP it, outsource it, SOP it, delegate, SOP it, delegate. So yeah, we play to our strengths, and we also play to our weaknesses as well, which is really good teamwork. So yeah, that's essentially how I got into SEO and how it essentially grew arms and
Yeah.
legs.
So you went from looking up WordPress after a job interview to pretty much your entire every hour of every day kind of revolving around WordPress in a way. Maybe not you're logging into WordPress, but everything y'all are kind of doing, a lot of it involves WordPress or other people using WordPress maybe.
Yeah.
So like I feel like, we can look at like what you're spending the hours in your day on, which is basically work. Um, what kind of philosophy are you like kind of approaching life with at this point? Like is work the end all be all, or like what's the goal of everything that you're doing right now?
So this answer would have been way different if you guys had met me 3 or 4 years ago. I would have been like, right, money, I want to be earning 10 grand a month, 15, 20, 40 grand a month, whatever the goal was 2, 3 years ago. Now I'm like, if I don't know about you guys, right? But after like earning 10 grand a month, like, you don't need anything more than 10, unless you're flying like
I'm in
private
your school of
jets.
thought, but we might get some pushback from one of us.
Well,
All right.
well, I mean, more than 10 grand. Okay, yes, more than 10 grand a month is very nice. But what I'm saying is, there's also a study. I saw a study recently where the marginal like happiness you get after like 10 grand a month, they actually like surveyed like a ton of people or whatever. And like after 10 grand a month, people really aren't getting happier with like more money that they get.
Yeah.
Like up to 10 grand, they're getting like much happier. And then once they get to that 10 grand a month, they kind of, the happiness curve just kind of goes like that and just like flat lines. There's like slight increase maybe, but
Plateaus. Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, like a few years ago, it would have been like money goals and stuff like that. Now it's more so like, how can I elevate the guys around me to earn more money? Because I know, like, for example, if I make Nick 10 grand next month, he's going to be like, right, okay, how can I help Kaz out, like, type thing. So it's like
Yeah.
it's kind of like a revolving door type scenario. So it's more so that, like, from a money point of view, like, I feel like I've got enough money to pay my bills, got enough money to live for the next, I don't know, 6, 7 years without needing to work. Maybe a little bit less if I'm flying out to first class to certain areas, but besides the point. And then from a goals point of view for this year, I just want to do like more experience more things. So Like, for example, I've got a goal in mind where when I hit a certain amount of subscribers on my YouTube channel, I want to fly out to Bali and do that for a week. And
Okay.
then a lot of people would like look at that and be like, "Oh my God, you're going out to Bali for a holiday." And it's like, well, I'm still going to be on my laptop. I'm still going to be uploading. It's like,
Yeah.
It's like
I just structure my days.
it's like when people ask about like you know, when I was back in the US recently, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be going to Thailand soon, and then you know, Bali, whatever, and they're like, oh well, like what are you gonna do, or like what do you got planned out? I'm like, that's not
I'm
how
just
it
gonna
works
be
though.
there.
Like it's gonna be
Yeah.
me on my laptop in a dark room, you know, working. So it's not nearly as cool as it sounds. But anyway, sorry to
In a
interrupt.
dark room.
Yeah.
Yeah, he makes it sound so miserable all the time.
I know, right?
He's not that much of a Batman, okay? He's got a nice life, all right? You can go see all these nice dinners and say he treats himself. Kasra, so you know, looking at that, because I've always said it too, and I think a lot of people don't believe me. Money up front, of course, like you know, going into business, money was important. However, I look at money as a tool, and the tool allows me to kind of navigate things, or it gives me access to things that maybe previously were a little bit harder to get. However, what I think got you know me interested in SEO and able to kind of maneuver through business was having an explorative mind. And I remember when we met in Chiang Mai, I felt the same thing about you when we were talking about our starts, and how we were navigating this new world of forums, etc., to learn, you know, any number of things. But from the sounds of it too, when you were at your first job, you already had that mindset. It was like, I don't know this. I'm going to go look it up. I'm going to learn it. Right. Whereas I think a lot of people just don't ever make that leap. I was talking to a neighbor recently who's like, oh, I don't learn that way. You know, I'd have to get sat down, blah, blah, blah. Well, then you're probably not going to learn it. But, you know, would you say you're an explorer when it comes to just life in general?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I, I don't know anyone that has become successful by staying in their comfort zone. I don't know about you guys, but it's
Right.
like you need to, for example, I think I've said this recently before on another podcast, but I remember 4 years ago. It was before COVID, right? It was before COVID. I don't know if you guys know Gareth Simpson. He
Yeah.
does, yeah. He's another link builder as well.
Yeah.
But he was speaking at Brighton SEO like 5 years ago, and I remember James, like me and James were just in the crowd, like just supporting him because he's a good friend and stuff. And James turns to me and he's like, "Do you reckon you could speak on that stage?" And I was like, "Absolutely not, no chance at all." Like, no, I genuinely felt sick when he asked me that. Right, I looked around. There must have been like, I don't know, 200 people, 150 people in the room.
Yeah.
Fast forward to September last year, or September, October last year, I spoke on that exact same stage. And it was just, it's all just coming from like jumping out your comfort zone. Like,
Right.
if say for example, I said no to all of those events that I spoke at, I probably wouldn't be doing this podcast with you guys now. So yeah, I definitely you want to be getting out your comfort zone
What's
and
that
trying
movie?
new things.
What's that movie with Jim Carrey where he just says yes to everything? Is that
Yes,
the life
man.
you're living? Yes, man.
Yes,
Yeah.
man.
I know you don't like
That's a good
movies,
one.
Kasra, but do you know that movie? Or is that before your time? Are we boomers now? Damn it.
We're
I've
boomers, bro.
watched
That's
that. I think I've watched that film. I just don't remember it. When you said he says yes to everything, I feel like I
Yeah,
have
He
seen it, but
yeah, like
blows up a
something
cow with a
happens,
bazooka.
to him and he has to like he physically has to say yes every time someone like asks him to do something, but it ends up making his life a lot better because he's just constantly out of his comfort zone. He's constantly just out and active in the world, doing things, meeting people, blah blah blah, and yeah, just kind of makes him a lot more successful
Creates
and happy in
opportunity.
general. Yeah,
Yeah.
creates a lot more opportunity.
I get it. It's like so obviously I spoke previously. I said like my mum and dad live 3-4 hours away in Scotland, right? I live in Manchester, and a lot of like my high school and college friends are like, "Oh, people can't believe you moved down south," because I originally was like 8 hours away. Now I'm a little bit closer to them. So a lot of my friends are like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you've made the move from Manchester all the way down to like near London." And in my head, I say, well, I can't believe that you've stayed in the exact same, like you were born in the same city. You're going to stay there for the entirety of your life, and you're going to potentially die there as well. I think that's weirder to me. Like, you're not a tree, you can move. Like, so yeah, I'm definitely maybe not a yes man, but I do like looking at different opportunities, jumping out of my
Push
comfort
yourself.
zone.
Maybe
Yeah.
you say yes a little bit more than the average Joe.
Mhm.
Would you, so like as far as your success goes or where you are now at this point in your life, like what would you say are like the most important things that have got you here? Like would you say this is one of them and what are some other things?
Um, so taking action's massive. Like there's I recently said this and I said like James has been like a massive catalyst to like my success. And I think that if you were to line up me and 9 other people, the 9 other people would definitely fail, right? And the reason for that is I'm all for taking action, right? So if Nick told me, right, if you do 100 push-ups, I'll give you 10 grand, or I'll promote whatever, right? I'll be like, all right, yeah, that's fine. I'll do 100 push-ups.
Yeah.
Wait, do you want me to record it? Do you want it in 4K, Nick? How do you want the recording? That would be my next question, right? But then the 9 other guys would be like, oh well, do I need to do it now, or can I go to the gym, do this, do that? Well,
Practice,
actually,
yeah.
no, I'm busy. I'm busy today. Can I get you that tomorrow? It's like, no. I take action today. Like that's how
Right.
like armies took over like countries, right?
Oh
By
God, we're
taking
going back
action.
to Genghis Khan.
See, yeah, I
So
like. Here's where we can get into his philosophy. He's obviously like, following the warlord kind of path, right?
yeah,
Arm
well,
yourself and take it.
Hell yeah.
yeah, so like that's how I see the digital landscape, right? So like if I'm uploading 10 times more than you guys, or if I'm uploading 10 times more than Julian Goldie, I'm getting seen 10 more times than him. That's how I see
Ain't
the
nobody
whole.
uploading 10 times more than Julian Goldie.
Yeah,
It's a
no,
lot.
no. To be fair, I feel like I'm the only person that's matching right now because he's doing one a day, I'm
One a
doing one
day.
a day. But
Jackie
yeah.
Jackie Cho's doing one a day as well.
Ah,
We do
yes.
one a day, but it's not
We
the
do want
same.
to.
It's not the same.
Ah,
We,
right,
we
okay.
we really do like one a week, and then it just like cuts them up and spits them out on YouTube for one a day. But it's not the same. Not like one actual video a day.
Yeah. But yeah, that's how I see it. Like if you want to be successful, jumping out your comfort zone and taking action, two biggest things. There's a lot of people that jump out their comfort zone, but they don't take action. They're all talk, and it's like, well, you talk a really good game, but I know you're not going to take action. And those people annoy me a lot. Like the guys that are like, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then you speak to them a month later and it's like, you gave me 3 really good ideas there, like a month ago. Why haven't you took action on them? And they're like, oh, I'm busy or whatever. Life got in the way. And it's like, right, okay. That's
Yeah.
how it is.
It's actually super true. I've like tried to help some people out get started in SEO or whatever. They were kind of looking for ways out of their current careers or whatever. And I give them all this stuff to do, spend all my free time trying to help them out and stuff. And you talk to them a month later and they're like, "Oh yeah, I watched like 2 of the videos." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Bro, like what are you doing, man? Like just
Yeah. Do you want
go
to?
you can go back and just keep being an English teacher, okay?"
I don't know about you guys, but if um if I want to make something work, whether it's getting into archery, like what you were saying, Chris, right? Finding a new hobby, or playing a new game, or starting a new business, link building, whatever it is, I struggle sleeping at night knowing that I'm not one of the best, right? Like I want to be the best at whatever I do, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's uploading a video every day, whether it's SaaS, whatever,
Where do
right?
you think
So
that comes from, like a hyper competitive mentality? Because I'm kind of the same way. It's not with everything, but with a lot of the stuff that I care about, I'm insanely competitive. But where do you think that like comes from? Where does that originate from?
early days would probably be in gaming. Like I used to play Counter-Strike at like a
1.6.
global offensive
Okay.
at like a semi-professional, like in German leagues and stuff like
Really?
that. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, dang.
So competitiveness, I was like proper, like really competitive back in the day, like to the point where if somebody would miss training, like, or if somebody would miss the warm up for the training, I'd be like phoning them like on WhatsApp, like, why are you not on, mate? Like, what's going on? Do you want kicked out the team? Like, what is this? We're not running a charity around here, right? So that was like the early days, and then I would probably say James. James has a very competitive edge to him. Like he like we regularly go to the gym together and stuff. He would outlift me. I feel like right now he's kind of not been going to the gym, so I'm obviously going to the gym. So like he's obviously like plateaued. He's come down here. I feel like he could probably outlift me still if he tried, but right now I'm on the same level, maybe a little bit more. And then Andrew Tate, like that's probably the third guy. He talks about hyper competitiveness. Like it's true though. Like if you think like if you think of this, right, let me give you guys an example, right? There's a beautiful girl at a bar, right? Average Kaz from 2-3 years ago would have never got that girl, and that really pissed me off, right? I was dead skinny, not confident at all, no muscles, not as much money, right?
But it all comes down, right, to one thing. Like that has to do more with you than the girl you're after, right?
Yeah. I blame myself. I don't blame the girl, right? You should
Mm.
never blame the girl. Like I'm the one that lacks confidence, and like I'm not the best looking. I don't have the most money, whatever else, right? So that was the entire reason of like the spur of the gym. I was like, right, okay, well, if that girl doesn't like me, right, okay, she might like me in 3 years' time. So I'm just gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna focus on earning money, and I'm going to build my confidence. How can I build my confidence? Right. Okay. Going to the gym's one of them. Speaking at events is the next one. Right. So 4 or 5 years ago, right, I would be terrified to approach girls, right? Because I'm like, oh, well, what if she says no? Right. And I'm like, right. Okay. Well, now if she says no, that's the least of my concerns because
Damn.
I could mess up on stage. Right. That's probably a bigger deal than say
Right.
getting rejected. It's like, I don't care now.
That's funny. I mean, underlying, it's sort of like you just said that the whole reason any of us are doing all of this stuff is to chase chicks at a higher
Evolution,
level.
man. It's
Yeah,
evolution.
evolution. It's like we're not that far from, our
Caveman
monkey base
days.
level as we
Yeah, we're
thought.
Yeah.
monkeys.
It's yeah, like again, like you need to be able to stand out. I feel like whether it's status, whether it's being able to like have a joke like what I'm doing with you guys, being entertaining, like having like good facial features, like muscles, whatever. Like it all comes, but again, like you need to work on that. Like it doesn't, you can't just click your fingers.
For sure.
Ultimately, though, I think there's a lot of people, especially in our industry, that kind of look down on those concepts, and or maybe just in like tech in general. But to me, whenever all of that is more well-rounded, so like when you saw me in Chiang Mai, I had long facial hair, I'd just gotten a haircut, but I was going through what I call like I don't know, sort of like
Caveman phase.
caveman phase, yeah, which I'll cycle through, right? Like where I just let it go. My mind is concerned about other things. But as soon as I change, and like, Chris will bring it up every now and again, because like we've known each other for a long period of time. Like we know these cycles we kind of go through. But as soon
Yeah,
as
I
like
just
I get
scolded him
cleaned
the
up
other
and
day.
everything,
I told him,
yeah,
cut your hair,
yeah,
cut your
it's
beard, and go to
time.
the gym, Nick.
Yeah, and I did. And now it's like, yes, night and day, right? Granted, there's use in that other phase, but I think overall, I think it was Socrates who talked about like, a man who doesn't utilize his body for like everything it's worth is missing out on a huge aspect of life, right? That's not verbatim, but that's the idea. And I've definitely noticed that, I started working out in high school. The idea was because I was small too, and wanted to go after the girls. But ultimately, that gave me, I would say, the longest standing line of discipline that I've ever had. I can always trump anything else that's going on in my life by staying disciplined with the gym, which has helped me in basically any venture that I wanted to focus on, right? If I keep that steady, then I keep the rest of it steady. But then, moreover, if you use vanity to your advantage, and I think Robert Greene talks about this in a couple of his books as well, but you'll start to notice that you carry yourself differently. Even recently, I noticed it's like I'm having longer conversations with people, day-to-day interactions with people that usually like I'd go by like at Caspian School or something like that are lasting a bit longer, which creates new opportunity, right?
Yeah.
So from like a philosophical perspective, I think it's important to at least, jump in there and be able to feel that from time to time.
And just shave your beard and cut your hair and go to the gym.
Well, that's the whole point of it. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Do
that
you
you,
know what?
but so that internally you feel confident and able to tackle what the fuck ever, right? Like if you have even just a slight doubt in there that's going to inject itself, you have a higher chance for failure
Yeah.
than if you've got everything, kind of cornered.
Yeah, I'll even
Yeah.
notice it, even if I just haven't like got a haircut for a while. Like it's still kind of short now, but it's starting to get a little bit longer. But like even just like getting that haircut, like it does like something where you're just like I don't know, you feel good about yourself, you feel more confident for whatever reason, and like you're
Yeah.
saying, it carries over to like everything.
Everything.
So yeah, I'm a huge fan of yeah, trying to stay clean cut.
Yeah.
Trying
One
to
thing.
dress like not too horribly, going to the gym, etc., whatever. What's up, Kasra?
Yeah. One thing that I'll say, and this probably resonates to all three of us, right, is or you might not have heard that you might have. Money is an amplifier, right? So, say for example, if you're depressed and you go and get £10 million tomorrow, you're going to be super depressed.
No
But
way.
if you're checking everything and the actual check boxes, like let's say for example, you go to the gym, you're eating healthy, you're more confident, and then you get like the 10 million, you're going to be even more confident. You're going to be even more healthy. You're going to be going to the gym even more because it's like you've ticked all the boxes. So obviously, Chris, you said no way, right? But there is definitely some truth to it because, like, for example, if somebody gave me £5 million tomorrow, I'd be very, very different to how I would spend it 5, 6, 10 years ago, right?
True.
So there's definitely some truth to it, I feel.
So Kasra, money can't buy happiness. True or false? That makes it kind of confusing. Can money buy happiness?
I mean, money can buy a really nice Ferrari, and you can cry in a Ferrari, but
There
cry
was
on
some
a
girl.
bus.
Are you quoting? There was some girl who said this. There was some girl who said this, and it was really clever. She was on a podcast or something, and she's like an OnlyFans girl, and the whatever podcast they were on, they were trying to like make her feel bad about it, or what are you gonna tell your kid when someone's gonna tell him that his mommy is working on OnlyFans, and she was like, he can cry in his Ferrari. It
So
was so good,
one
though.
one thing that I'll say is money can definitely buy time. And say for example, if you are working 20 hours a day
Yes, money
stacking
does buy
shelves or
time. Mhm.
whatever, like it can buy time. Again, it depends on what you spend the money on. Like I don't know if you guys have seen this, but there's a stat that says I don't know if it's in the US or just in the UK. I believe this might only just be in the UK. This actual study, but out of like the past 20 lottery winners that have like
I was
won
gonna, yeah.
decent money, I don't know if it's like over 1 million or whatever. Every single one of them, or like maybe out of like the past 22 of them have been like successful in other things. 18 of them have been like they've become drug addicts.
Yeah.
One of them like lost their car, and all their money and their house. Their life literally just goes to shit.
Yeah.
And again,
Yeah.
it's money's an amplifier because if they were like, for example, living in like a council house and not being smart and maybe didn't learn about investing money or whatever else, you give somebody 10 million, a guy that's like a junkie or whatever, he's probably going to end up ending his life because of what he's
Yeah.
addicted to. But if you give 10 million to somebody that's living a happy life, he might be married, might have a couple kids, going to the gym, eating healthy, etc., has a nice work and life balance, then yeah, like he's probably going to use the money in the right way. Money's a tool. That's
Yeah.
how I see money.
For sure. That's actually what you just said pretty recently about money buying time. Actually, like, so I didn't really become interested in money until like I was already older than like you are now. I didn't become like interested in money until I was literally like around 30 years old. And the way I looked at it, or like the realization I came to that made me interested in it, was exactly what you said, which is that money can buy time. And I was still an English teacher at the time, and I I just wanted to do more stuff. I was like, well, I want to go here. I want to visit this person in Japan or whatever. I want to go visit my family. And like the way I kept thinking about it was like, I need to work this much time to be able to pay for that. And I was like, well, if I made more money, I would literally have like more time to do this stuff. It's like literally I had this just like breaking realization that money was time. And then I was like, I need as much money as possible, like,
Yeah.
to basically just do whatever I want, right? Like, and I don't have to like think about it or worry about it or whatever. I can just save the time and do the things I want to be doing, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's
See,
yeah, go on.
oh, well, I was just going to say, like, perspective for me was similar, but the concept of money was it gave me access, right? So, like, time, sure, like it can help give you time, but at the time, it's like me and Chris were traveling, quite a lot, not together, but like we lived our 20s very, I feel like doing this, but you couldn't access the higher end points. Like you couldn't fly first class. You couldn't go on a whim to go visit your friend in Japan, like Chris said, right? So it's like, okay, what is missing in my life right now that is going to help me play James Bond essentially, or something like that, where it's like, boom, this day comes up. I want to be there tomorrow. I can make that happen, right? Having that access allows you to also create more opportunity because there is no saying no to something that you want. So at least you've got the tool there, it's in the reserve, and you can use it whenever you feel like it. Versus if you don't have it, it's going to create immense stress. Or
Yeah.
depending on the issue as well. But yeah, access and time. You there is a bell curve to needing X amount of money for you as an individual to be happy, right? Which is different. It's subjective, person to
Yeah.
person. But ultimately, I think, everybody wants to be able to, I guess, breathe by knowing they've got enough cash in the bank to
What
maneuver
was
Sure.
different things.
what was your guys' like I've made it moment?
I don't think I'll ever feel like I've made it. There's something wrong with my brain. I need therapy. I'm serious. Like
I
Nick
would
knows
I would
this.
agree. I would agree with that. Sometimes Chris's stress falls into my, just like it stresses me out that he's stressed out. Because like, if I look back on this whole SEO venture, and I've brought this up multiple times, but like, I've fought MMA, I've traveled like all over the world, I've done some really hard travels, but nothing tested me as much as starting my own company, getting started. And I did it with no venture capital, with nobody else like hand holding, nothing, right? Like it was just the highest stress period that I can remember. And that lasted maybe 3 or 4 years. It wasn't like I had a couple bad weeks. I remember my worst weeks, and this is probably the worst week of my entire life, but like I hermited out at this beach house, and I remember everything I'd done while I was hermited there for about 3, 4 months just wasn't working, and I found myself yelling at myself in the mirror like that. It is not working. But those periods, I didn't find that in anything else I did, but the desire to want to make them work so that I could get access to the lifestyle I was interested in was enough to make me, want to fight through it. But I would say once, once my turning point would have been when I got one huge contract for around 75K, with another 75K to be paid later on. That happened maybe like 3 years, 4 years into doing SEO. And I mean, like I'd already had money coming in, but when that really hit, it was like, okay, I can go after like something bigger. I've created something that like now is somewhat coveted, where I can roll that into, bigger picture kind of viewpoint. But until then, it's sustenance. Like, how am I going to make that $4,000 a month to just survive, to be able to pay my bills, to be able to like, have a little bit of access to like a normal life. But without those sacrificial periods, I don't think you get to the big thing, that exit point. But
What about for you,
um,
Kasra? How do you know you've made it?
I don't feel like I have. I'm exactly like you, Chris.
So basically you'll never feel like it.
So maybe once I have like a big exit, like we exited like a relatively small website a couple of years ago. But like maybe if I exit for like, I don't know, 10 million or something in one of like one of the either SaaS products or the link building side of stuff, then I might say, right, okay, maybe I've made it now. Maybe I
what
have. But again, it's
I wonder if this
what are you
is
gonna do?
like,
What are you gonna do once that hits? Because it will hit for you, right? Like, so Imagination Land, it hit. You got your $10 million or whatever $1 million exit.
but then you got the
How does
wife,
your
you got a kid,
yeah?
you got to pay for college. I don't know. I
How's
don't know,
everything
man.
shift for you?
Um, I would probably be finding the next thing.
Hmm.
Let's say for example, it's the agency side of stuff, and they say, right, okay, we'll buy the agency off you, and we have a non-compete, which is very normal. When somebody buys your agency, and they say, right, nothing to do with SEO or nothing to do with link building, I would say, right, okay,
Mm.
that's fine. I think I'd probably start doing more PPC side of stuff. Start maybe selling PPC as a service. Um, but yeah, like I would be finding the next big thing. And again, the next big thing might not be an agency, it might be a SaaS product. Like we're launching 8 new SaaS tools this year, or that's our goal. Outside of like the Searcharoo side of stuff,
Exciting.
like so I just feel like there'll be something, but I feel like that. I don't know if you guys watched the podcast that I done with Gary, and I asked him like,
Yeah.
what was your thoughts when you sold Get Me Links, and he said the next day was the most empty he's ever felt, because he's got 2 million or $1 million or whatever it was in his bank, and he's very much like yourself, Nick. Like he started it, it was kind of his baby, and now it's gone type thing. So it's like, right, well, what do I spend 18 hours a day on now?
Mm.
So
Do some
I
soul
will need to
searching.
find, yeah,
Yeah, but
I'll
he
need to
jumped
find
right
some.
into it, right? He went the real estate route pretty much like right out of the gate, didn't he?
Yeah, so he had
But
the real estate while he was doing the property stuff. He had like 5 properties while he
mhm,
was doing Get Me Links, and then he kind of just pivoted it a little bit.
gotcha. Yeah, but that's the thing, like now I think all of us have settled into, well, all right, we know money is a tool. We get a lump sum of it. What are we going to do? We're going to build something new. I don't imagine like there's a time where any of us imagine just sitting on our asses doing absolutely nothing. I'd like to do like hypothetical if I got 10 million, I think I'd dedicate at least like 1 or 2 years specifically just to self-study. Imagining that I was going back to university, but to study something new, which is basically what I did with SEO, right?
Mhm.
Jump in, start doing the self-study online. Took a few years, but yeah, I maybe try something else out. I don't know,
I'm not
physics
sure. I'm
maybe.
not sure what I would do if I just got that big lump sum. I used to think I would just work forever because it's fun, but I don't know. I had some thoughts, some experiences recently, which made me think maybe there's more to life. Maybe there's more to life than just money. I'm not sure. It's a theory. It's a theory, and maybe there is a certain amount I'd be happy with, and I'd feel like I'd made it and could chill out a bit more. But
I
to
don't know
be
about you
determined.
guys. I don't know about you guys, but I don't feel like I've worked for quite a long time. Like obviously I've done work, but it doesn't feel like work. Um, it's like
I
right now this is deemed as work, right? But it's not because I'm just chatting to 2 pretty cool guys.
Yeah, comparative to what I think, you know, a lot of our friends are doing, where they're doing the 9 to 5, they don't like what they're doing day in out. And then I think a lot of that bleeds into like personal life as well. Yeah, you know, we've got it pretty cush. But wouldn't you say that it's because we were willing to go through that testing time, like that part that really, like, if you're not willing to struggle through it, you're going to go fall back on comfort, which is the 9 to 5 job that guarantees you success to some degree, right? Versus relying on yourself to get to a whole new level. And if you fail at that, well, pretty rough.
Yeah.
But
Could
yeah,
be the prerequisite to it, right? Got to put in a little bit of, we got to take a little bit of risk, or put in a little bit of the time in the dark hole before you can emerge the beautiful butterfly, right?
Yeah.
And I'd say right now we're beautiful butterflies. I think
Sitting
so.
fine. Yeah. Yeah. I think,
Maybe
you
we could be
know,
more
we could
beautiful though.
probably, yeah, sure. But you know, that's always like, it's the hedonic treadmill, right? Like we're always climbing up to that new shiny thing, or like that new shiny way of life. But the fact of the matter is, like, you know, we'll probably die that way to a certain degree. So I think that's why it's important to go back, like what we were talking about earlier, when you're sitting there in the shower and you're just like looking down, letting the water hit you, thinking, you know, find a little bit of time every day to say what you're thankful for, which, especially when I'm going down like negative roads, that is a pretty amazing concept. How just much that'll change everything that you're thinking about, is instead of looking at what's wrong, look at what's right, and then pivot off that instead of the opposite foot.
I've done similar
Yeah.
stuff like that actually kind of recently in the past like 6 months or so. Tried to like be on this like grateful, I don't know what you call it, grateful affirmations or whatever people call it.
Yeah,
And
it's
like
affirmations.
affirmations, okay.
You know, there was even like a small one. I remember when I was working with Ryan, he's like, man, all right, I'm gonna try something new I read about. It's simple, it seems dumb, it seemed dumb to me at the time, but he's like, instead of saying I have to do this, I have to do this task, you know, I'm gonna switch up, I get to. Yeah. And it actually, I mean, it fucking works. You know, like I get to do this. Instead of going to a 9 to 5 where my boss is yelling at me to hit sales markers, I get to fucking sit here and just, you know, sit in my underwear and do some Excel. Like that's not bad.
But then the other side to that, Nick, is I get to go to the actual office where my boss is screaming at me 9 to 5.
True.
But then there's somebody that can't pay their bills, and it's like, right, okay. And then like where does it stop? It's like, well, I can't pay my bills, but there's some kid in Africa that can't eat, and it's like, right, okay. It is all about perspective.
Perspective,
True.
yeah. So, you know, subjective perspective on what you want out of life, what you're navigating, because not everybody's going to have the same perspective as us either, right? Like, could you imagine if everybody in the world had our mindset on wanting to grow something, build, be special, yada yada? Then it'd be hard for us to, you know, automate certain things, or like, yeah, I mean,
who's going to write the content? Who's going to write
exactly. That's what I was going to say. It would be hard acquiring staff. That's what it would be.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
Yeah.
All right, boys. It's getting kind of late over here in Chiang Mai. I'm gonna have to call it here pretty soon. But before we leave, because I know this was a highly anticipated meeting where we talk shop about some deep stuff. Was there anything else you guys want to go into real quick, Nick, Kasra, before we head out back into our dark holes, or that we're very thankful for?
Yeah, our caves. No, not from me, but yeah, what you got, Kasra?
No, well, do you know what? Actually, there is one thing, right? And I think if anybody's made it to the end of this podcast, they probably deserve to hear this, right?
We're gonna have to watch engagement and see how many people make it.
Yeah, this is definitely different than what we normally do.
But if anybody's watched up until now, obviously we're competitors, and it doesn't necessarily need to mean that we're at war or whatever. So sometimes just sit down with your competitors and have a nice little conversation like this.
True.
But yeah.
I don't know if you've read it, but Team of Rivals is an epic story that's all about that, and you know, the creation of our government here. But they did not like each other.
We're all rivals, but we're all going to the same place eventually. So I guess maybe we're not rivals after all. We're humans.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
I like when we hold hands in a circle and just kind of.
We'll meet up at our Ferrari meetup next year sometime. I wouldn't
Hell
mind
yeah.
that.
Hell yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Kasra Dash, it's been a pleasure. Before we go, though, is there anything, if anyone's made it to this point in the podcast, is there anything that you, like, where do you want people to go? Where can people find you? Anything you want to plug here at the end?
Either subscribe to me on YouTube. I'm trying to hit 10,000 subs by April, or check me out on kasradash.com.
Awesome, man.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. And did you say you were going to be out in Vietnam for the conference or no?
Yeah, I'm speaking.
Hell yeah.
We'll see you
Mr.
there.
Everywhere.
Nice.
Mr.
Hell
Everywhere.
yeah.
Of
Hell
course
yeah.
I am.
All right, man. We might buy a bottle of vodka for you and force you
God.
back on the wagon or off the wagon, whatever it's called. Someone's getting on the wagon. All right. All right, Kasra, thanks for coming out, man. And yeah, we'll catch up with you here pretty soon then in Vietnam.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yes, sir.
Better.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to check the links below for more info on this topic, as well as other cool stuff like SEO case studies, our Facebook community, and our link building services. And like always, please like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thanks, and happy ranking.